Good morning, Hank. It's Tuesday. So you recently made a video outside, and I was like, we have outside in Indiana. So yeah, here I am. One of my favorite words in English is mortification. It's also one of my least favorite things to experience. And last week, I was well and truly mortified when I used the word hectare like 135 times in my video about agriculture in Ethiopia. I said hectare, like one who takes heck, when in fact I meant hectare, meaning 100 airs, with air being a unit of measure that means 100 square meters. Now, admittedly, units measuring land area not among my fields of expertise, but still, I was trying to share with people what I'd learned about how to make more food available to hungry people. But obviously, I knew absolutely nothing because hectare. Hank, I've only experienced real mortification a couple times in my adult life. Like, my first book signing after Looking for Alaska was published was only attended by 2 people. Now, that was obviously concerning, but it wasn't really mortifying until I was halfway through my reading, and I read a sentence from the book that went, "The only thing worse than having a party that no one attends is having a party attended by 2 vastly, deeply uninteresting people," thereby managing to insult the only 2 people nice enough to come to my signing. Then a few years later, I was giving a talk to several hundred high school students, none of whom had any idea who I was, and I talked for about 45 minutes. Everyone was laughing a lot. They seemed to be having a great time. And finally, I was like, "Are there any questions?" At which point, several dozen people raised their hands, which is very unusual, and I was like, yes, do you have a question? And they were like, "Yeah, Mr. Green, are you aware that your fly is open?" Now, Hank, to be clear, it wasn't that my zipper was down. My fly was open, like you could see my underwear. And then I was like, "No, I wasn't aware that my fly was down." I turned around, I zipped up my fly, I turned back around, and I was like, "Are there any other questions?" Silence. Wait, have I told that story in a Vlogbrothers video before? Now I feel a little bit of mortification creeping in again. Blurg, I don't even know what's been in my own videos. But anyway, back to hectare. So Sarah was trying to comfort me, and she was like, nerd fighters don't care that much about this stuff. They're so forgiving and nice, it'll be fine. And she was also like, now no offense, but it's not like that many people outside of Nerd Fight Terror are gonna see your video because, it's about agricultural yields in the developing world. It's not gonna catch fire on Tumblr. And then of course, within a day, Bill Gates, the head of the World Food Program, and the Foreign Minister of Ethiopia had all seen the video. Now, they were all very nice about it, but you know that secretly they were like, hectare? So it's one thing to look like a grapefruit in front of Nerd Fight Terror, Hank. They've come to expect it, but Bill Gates... mortifying. Now, when mortification is something that you're doing entirely to yourself, as it was in this instance, there can be something useful about it, maybe. Like, I want to seem like the kind of person who knows a lot about agriculture, or the kind of person who can get through a 2-person book signing without alienating the audience. And mortification can be your ideas about yourself being challenged by the reality of yourself, and that's not such a bad thing. But when other people try to mortify you, when they say cruel things about you to make you feel embarrassed of yourself, or when they read your diary or share pictures that you wish to remain private, that's very different. I don't think anything is gained there, and a lot is lost. Hank, I don't think any of us can navigate the world always having to be our public selves, even when in private, because I think we'd go mad. Now, God knows I'll never say hectare in a Vlogbrothers video again, but if I can't say it at home, I'm seriously kind of doomed. Because then I'd lose touch with my real and actual self, which for all of us is necessarily different from the selves we project in public. We all act differently in private than we do in school, or at our jobs, or on Tumblr. Now, Hank, I can't speak for everyone, but I, for one, wouldn't want to have to be on Tumblr all the time. Well... No, because my kids don't have Tumblrs. Yet. Anyway, Hank, if you've learned one thing from being my brother, I hope it is this. Hectare. Rhymes with nectar, almost. Rhymes with lecture. Not really. Those, by the way, are called slant rhymes, he said confidently, feeling a whisper of doubt. I'll see you on Friday.